ILTA News, and I am Beth Ann Stubbe, the Director of Publications and Press. I'm here today with Kim Heyde, and Kim is the Lead Solutions Consultant for eDocs. Kim, thank you so much for joining us.
Beth Ann, thank you, and thank you to ILTA for having me here today and allowing me to have a voice for eDocs.
I'm really excited to talk about authorship, lawyers and their teams moving content around. So what changes are you seeing around lawyers and their teams and how they're interacting with the content at their firm or their business?
Beth Ann, the most obvious thing, right, revolves around with how people are working today with COVID and they're having to work remotely. So you're not going into your office anymore. You're not sitting at your desk working on your content. You're working from home. You're having to deal with things at the house, whether it's children, pets, a significant other at your house, getting kicked out of your office because somebody else needs the office space for a particular call. So our customers are having to deal with all of that. They're having to deal with loss of Wi-Fi around the house, doorbells ringing. So we have to make sure from a product perspective that we're able to provide access to these users' content, no matter where they're working, no matter what device they're happening to use, whether it's a desktop, a laptop, a tablet, or a mobile device. So we've been focusing on that. And fortunately, prior to all of this, we had introduced a new user interface called Info Center. And that Info Center UI, our new modern user interface, is based on HTML. So it's a very light footprint. It's very easy to access. We have a web user interface for our customers. In addition to that, like I said, it's important for our customers to have access to their content from within their authoring applications. So we have these web-based add-ins that run within Outlook, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So we have those add-ins that are available. In addition, we have mobile device access for iOS and for Android. So a lot of access for our customers to work any way they want to, wherever they want to. The second thing really around the change that we're seeing for our customers is how they're accessing content. So really we're seeing an expanded use in cloud applications as well as collaboration tools. Specifically Microsoft OneDrive, Teams, we have Office 365 online, Microsoft Exchange online. So a lot of cloud activity. But again, around working remotely in the last year, a lot of use around Microsoft OneDrive and Teams to do the work as well as to collaborate. Because now that you're not in the office anymore, you still need to work with folks. You still need to have meetings with everybody, and it's nice to be able to have those face-to-face meetings from within Teams. So of course, Teams does have its own way to save content, but we want our customers to be able to access eDocs while they're using Teams. We don't want them to have to leave Teams to access eDocs. We don't want them to have to leave eDocs to go to Teams to access their content. So now you can stay in Teams, you can access your eDocs content, from within where you're working, so your content stays secure. You make sure that you, what's the word that I'm looking for? A single source of truth. The single source of truth is what I was looking for. It's really important for our customers to maintain that single source of truth because it's around versioning. You want to make sure that whatever you're working on is the most current version.
We have that consistent battle as well, whatever piece of content we're working on and whatever we're trying to push out. Do you think that the pandemic has really exacerbated the need for this? Or do you think that we would have gotten there eventually when people stopped going into the office because frankly, it's not really worth it as much as it was?
I think we now know that, right? Post-pandemic, I think everybody realizes, wow, you don't have to be in the office as much because of the technology. I think it would have taken years, to get to where we are today, but we eventually definitely would have gotten to where we are today, just the way technology is expanding the capabilities for users. We saw it with mobile devices, having mobile access to eDocs is nothing new, right? Because the attorneys are on the move, right? You're at your client, you're in the courtroom, you need to have access to your content. So mobility is nothing new. So we've been moving in this direction anyway. Again, it just speeded up the process.
Speaking of a process that's been around for a little bit, needs to be speeded up, and things that we probably were hoping that we'd have long ago, like flying cars. Let's talk about what you guys are doing to leverage artificial intelligence to help law firms, corporates, legal departments, all of those kind of places that should be more productive to be more productive.
It is. Isn't it amazing that we're still having this conversation? I mean, and you you poised it excellently. You know, it's been around for such a long time. You know, we've been waiting for it and waiting for it and waiting for it. It's kind of dribbled out. You know, you see some products, you know, and then how do you define AI, right? Machine learning, you know, is it true? It's not true AI that you're seeing on the science fiction, you know, TV shows. There are different levels of artificial intelligence. But we do have some AI capabilities now with eDocs, and we have that today through OpenText Magellan. So the OpenText Magellan artificial intelligence platform from OpenText is allowing eDocs customers to easily identify, it's culling the database and it's reading the text, looking for personally identifiable information. You know, there have been so many concerns and problems with data breaches. So you have to make sure that your data is secure. And so we're helping our customers by using Magellan to look for that PII, to do reporting, to let you know that if it identifies PII, it'll assign risk levels to that PII. It can help you automate and secure that content for you. In addition, we're using Magellan. And again, this is probably more around machine learning, right? You give it some algorithms, you ask it to go out and look at the data, and then it triggers certain events, you know, to do the security. But it's still important. It's still using your computer, still using technology to help you with formerly manual process. You know, we're helping to automate those processes using the technology. But in addition to the PII, we're also using Magellan to go out and augment your existing information. So eDocs is a metadata-driven content management platform. So when you save your content into eDocs, you typically don't save it into a folder structure. You don't make a series of folders and save the content. Instead, you save the content into eDocs. Folders are then created off of the metadata structure that you have. That way, when you move content around within eDocs, we're not making copies and saving it into other folders. It's a link. It's a link to the original document that can be in multiple places. So that metadata is really super important for eDocs. And that's kind of where we're going with our AI to help with that metadata. So as I mentioned, you know, Magellan can go in and can augment that metadata. It can look at your content and add additional metadata fields that maybe you didn't think about. It can do it after the fact. So maybe you want it to go in and look at your legal content, and it can add the name of the opposing counsel. Who's the name of the judge on this case? What's the jurisdiction where this case was heard? It can even do a semantic analysis to look at orders, to see if orders have favorable language versus negative tones in some of the documents. And it can provide summaries of large documents. You know, maybe you're doing appeals and you have a 400-page memo, you know, an appellate brief. It can provide a quick little summary, again, for you to look at. So you don't have to go through and read the entire document. So Magellan is, you know, we have this today for some of our customers are using, but something that we're going to be releasing this year that I'm super excited about is going to be, we're doing smart profiling. So as I mentioned, you know, the eDocs, the metadata driven engine, we're going to be doing smart profiling. So when our customers, when the end users are saving the content into eDocs, they have to fill out a form, and that form contains that metadata that we're looking at typically for legal. It's going to be, sometimes it's the practice area, client, matter, document type, you know, is it a motion? Is it a will? Is it an affidavit? So looking for those doc types. Nobody likes to fill out a profile form. Nobody. I mean, that's a downer for most of our customers having to take the time to do that. So by doing the smart profiling, what we're going to be doing is we will be looking at the content that's contained in the document. It'll even work from email. We'll be looking at that content, and then we will recommend what we feel is, based on the content, the potential client, the potential matter, and the potential document type, again, to help it make it easier for our customers to save their content. Because I mentioned, you know, they don't want to do it. So when you don't want to do something, you're usually not really good at doing it. So what they do is they cheat, right? So you use default or you use general. You just tab through and pick the first thing and you save it into the system. So now the GIGO, right? Garbage in, garbage out is what's happening. So now you're losing all of that incredible value of having the metadata in eDocs, you know, to help you improve your processes by being able to find content. So the smart profiling is going to save time, and it's going to significantly, I believe, help our customers find relevant information after the fact. because they'll have the appropriate metadata associated with the content. So pretty excited about that.
Well, speaking of time, one of the things we talked about as we were kind of prepping for this interview today was the number of days and hours that lawyers suggest looking for data. They're saying they spend 20% of their time looking for information. Is that accurate?
Well, yeah, as you mentioned, we did discuss this beforehand, and I'm going to call you out because I think you said you spent more than 20% of your time.
Wow, I'm going to delete this part right out of this. Okay, yep, that's true. I mean, it's a data question, isn't it? More than anything else. If you don't know where the data is, it takes a long time to find it.
It really does. And if you don't, you're right. It's the data, it's the metadata, and if you have multiple repositories too. I think it's harder for people who are sharing things, saving things to their desktop, to their documents folder, to a shared folder, to SharePoint. You know, that knowing where, or in an email, right? Oh gosh, I think the most recent one was in an email. Then you got to go through your sent folder to see where that copy is. So, you know, it's hard when you have multiple copies of things floating around. But yes, it is amazing. You know, there's a lot to just being able to search. When you're going to work for the content, you may not necessarily be out looking, through Windows Explorer trying to find something, but you're in your Windows application and going to File and going to Open and looking for your recent documents. So there's a lot of that going on. And the customers with eDocs, the same thing. You save your content into eDocs. How do I get it? Right? Content management is fantastic. You're throwing all of this stuff into your repository, but what's the benefit of that if you throw it into this big bucket and then you can't find it later? So it's about saving and it's about finding. For me, it's not about searching. It's about how can we help our customers quickly find the content that they need. So that's what we're doing. And recently we upgraded our search engine, and we did that because customers were saying they wanted a Google-like experience. And we did not have that with eDocs. With the search engine that we had, it would just, you do your search and it would return the results, and it would just be a single line. It would be the document name, the author, and the last edit date. So when you're looking at a list of content, you don't know, is this the document that I wanted or isn't it? The great thing about doing a Google search is when you do that search, it returns the results, and underneath the name of the search result is a nice summary of the information. So you can read that summary and you're like, is this the website that I wanted to go to? Is this the book that I was looking for? You can see that snippet of information. So now we have that with eDocs. When you do a search with the new search engine, you get that summary search results. And in addition to that, we have the search term highlighting. Oh. I keep using the word motion, for example. Or if I was searching for something that Beth Ann had done, I could do a Beth Ann search, and it would, anytime your name was mentioned in that document, it's going to come back with a summary and it's going to highlight your name. So then I can look at it, and again, I can see it in context and quickly identify, is this the content that I was looking for? But if it isn't, right, how many times have you gone to page 2 on Google when you've done a search? Probably a couple times.
I don't want to know what's on page 2 because it isn't necessarily relevant for anybody.
Exactly. Yes. If it's not on page 1, you're right. It's not going to be relevant. Same thing, from your searches, from this point. If you can't find what you're looking for right off the bat, now what we have is, we call it's faceted filtering. So it's more of that Amazon experience. So you do your search, you just do a generic search, right? You don't put in all of these details when you're doing on Amazon. You're looking for, a book from Dr. Seuss. And you do your search and all of this stuff comes back and you're like, holy cow, I didn't know there were that many Dr. Seuss items. So what do you do on the left-hand side, right? It has all these facets. You can quickly drill down that you're looking for, books, colored books at this size, books at this price. You want a new book. You don't want a used book. And you're able to quickly and easily drill down on those facets to get to what it is that you're looking for. So we do the same thing. We allow our customers to drill down on their metadata. Again, back to being, the metadata, and this is why that metadata is so important. You can drill down on your client, your matter, your practice area, on your author to get to what it is that you're looking for. So, so very, 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 very excited, and a lot of great feedback on the new search engine. And part of the reason why too, it's a big benefit for us. The search engine that we added, it's been around for a while. It's not necessarily brand new technology. The search engine, it's called MindServer. And that MindServer is also the engine that powers OpenText Decisive, which is an enterprise search engine. So it's a very powerful tool. MindServer also powers Accelerate, which is an e-discovery tool. So this engine is used to going through millions of documents, looking for that needle in a haystack to help you find what it is that you're looking for. So we've brought that technology to eDocs to help our customers find what it is that they're looking for.
They're going to find it. I'm excited to see what comes out next from you guys. And I hope you'll keep us up to date with any new innovative products.
Absolutely, Beth Ann. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.